Welcome to Sunday Reach by Dominicans in India. There is a story of a little boy whose sister needed a blood transfusion. The doctor explained that she had the same disease the boy recovered from 2 years earlier. The only chance of recovery was a transfusion from someone who had previously conquered the disease. Since the two children had the same rare blood type, the boy was an ideal donor. "Would you give your blood to Mary?" the doctor asked. Johnny hesitated. His lower lip started to tremble. Then he smiled and said, "Sure, for my sister." Soon the two children were taken into the hospital room, Mary pale and thin, Johnny robust and healthy. They neither spoke. When their eyes met, Johnny smiled. As the nurse inserted the needle into his arm, Johnny's smile faded. He watched his blood flow through the tube. Johnny's shaky voice broke the silence. "Doctor, when do I die?" he asked. Only then did the doctor realize why Johnny had hesitated, why his lip had trembled when he agreed to donate his blood. He thought giving his blood to his sister would mean giving up his life. In that brief moment, he had made his great decision. This is an illustration of our own need to be given a transfusion of Christ's blood for the good of our own health of body and soul. His blood was poured out from his 5 wounds on the cross. Every drop was lovingly shed so that you and I could find protection, healing, and union with him. In the first letter of St. Peter, chapter 2, verse 24, we read, "By his wounds you have been healed." The gospel seems to have a strange focus today. We are in the Easter season and joy is everywhere. So why does St. John keep emphasizing Christ's wounds in the gospel, just as we heard? As soon as Jesus walks into the room where the disciples were, he shows them his hands and his side. He shows them the wounds of his crucifixion. Thomas isn't there. He returns later, and the others excitedly tell him, "We have seen the Lord." But he replies, "I won't believe it until I see and touch the wounds." He does see and touch his wounds, and that leads him to exclaim, "My Lord and my God." John wants to remind us that God so loved the world that he gave his only Son. Jesus died for you and for me. Jesus has saved us, and his wounds are his identity card. They shout out to us, God's mercy is more powerful than death. All this is tied in with the special feast we are celebrating today, the Divine Mercy Sunday. Mercy is when God's love meets our brokenness. We are all in need of God's mercy, and we all need to see God's mercy. As Pope Francis, paraphrasing Pope Benedict XVI, once said, "The name of God is mercy, and the wounds of Christ, visible for the eternity, are a vivid reminder of God's mercy." It is not enough to know abstractly that the name of God is mercy. We need to see it, we need to be reminded of it, and so that we can say that the mercy of God comes to us through Christ's wounds. Saint Faustina was a nun with the Sisters of Our Lady of Mercy in Krakow, Poland. Beginning in 1933, Christ granted her a series of apparitions, which at his request she recorded in a diary, now known as the Divine Mercy in My Soul. He gave her a mission saying, "Today I am sending you with my mercy to the people of the whole world. I do not want to punish the wounded humankind, but I desire to heal it, pressing it to my merciful heart." Pope John Paul II read her diary and was deeply moved by it. While he was Pope, he beatified and canonized Faustina. and he declared the Sunday following Easter to be an official feast for the entire church. Saint Faustina experienced Christ's mercy comes to us through his wounds. She wrote that Jesus told her, "My daughter, tell the whole world about my inconceivable mercy. I desire that feast of mercy be refuge and shelter for all souls, and especially for poor sinners. I pour out a whole ocean of grace upon those who approach the fount of mercy." The ocean of mercy comes to us, my dear friends, through Christ's wounds. Sometimes we are afraid to let God see our wounds. But what if I were to go to a doctor because I cut my foot and say, "I don't feel so good, I am in great pain," but then I don't let the doctor look at it? He cannot really do that much for me if I don't show him my wounds. When we bring our wounds caused by our sin to Jesus, he can heal them. And then the mercy of God can come to us through our wounds. Where does this happen? Above all, in the sacrament of reconciliation. Every time we confess our sins, two things happen. First, we receive the mercy of God who forgives our sins. Second, we receive the strength from God to live as his beloved children. So let us take courage from this feast of God's mercy, and let us resolve to attend confession frequently this year. Christ's mercy comes to us through his wounds, and when we bring him our wounds in the sacrament of confession, our every wounds become an entrance point for his mercy and love, and we experience the peace and joy that Christ wants to give to us.